how you see generative AI play out in an Indian corporate context. The WEF came out with a report which spoke of countries which would end up as the big gainers and the big losers from this age of generative AI. And India comes out somewhere in the middle, which means essentially it could go still in either of the two directions. Which of the two directions do you think we're going towards?
No, look, I'm a big believer in the opportunity of what AI can create and generative AI can create, particularly from an enhancement and augmentation perspective, right? It creates some disruption on the way, but lots of innovation has created some disruption on the way. But overall, I'm a big believer in the enhancement and augmentation that it drives for productivity, for opportunity, etc. And I'll just try and mask it from the perspective of what we are doing as a company on Gen AI, if that's okay, Rahul. So there are three things I would talk about. One is just what we are doing. Two is what would we do to ourselves as an enterprise, leveraging it. And three is what customers are talking about, right? One is we've called out over the last 3-6 months about our investments in Gen AI. We're going to invest $1 billion in AI more holistically, $1 billion over the next 3 years. This is not going to be about going out and buying a few companies. This is about a very strong mindset of infusing pervasively AI into everything that we do as an organization. And the most simple but I think powerful example is we've trained 209 out of the 245,000 people in the company on Gen AI 101. Does this make them technical experts on AI? Absolutely not. But what it does is it very strongly inculcates the mindset of looking at this as an opportunity enhancer for the way you do your work. So if you're a business analyst, if you're a local junior engineer, how can you be looking at opportunities to do your work better? How can you be taking out 25% of the effort you're putting in so you can do 25% more output at the end of the day, right? So a very, very strong mindset of AI everywhere. The other is how do we sort of have this in every part of the organization? How do we try and disrupt every part of processes in the company, infuse this in? My favorite example is what we're doing with employee experience. One is we've significantly enhanced background verification, which is a big element in our business, leveraging Gen AI. The other is changing employee experiences. So now it's very interesting. We've created a chatbot. It's called We Now, Wipro Now. It's got 40 functions or 40 use cases on it. Everything from employee benefits to applying for medical leave, to applying for leave, to looking at your appraisal, to any of that. Typically, you have to go through 3-4 different apps. You have to toggle through multiple different screens. And I use this myself. I apply for leave. I look for...
Who do you apply to leave for?
I apply to leave for work. I'm an employee of the company. I get a fair amount of, a finite amount of leave. We've had 4.7 million queries on this in the last several months with 98% accuracy. That's amazing. And 40 functions of 40 use cases. So 240,000 people are using it to do something more productively than they were doing before.
But there are very real concerns about potential job losses, for example. The fact that, and we're seeing this in the tech sector, several companies have let go of thousands of IT workers. And there are real concerns about, in the end, how many of the people that you have would you still need?
So Rahul, you're connecting two different things, right? The reality is, the tech services sector went through a tough time last year, right? The reality is over the last 3 years, many of us have hired significantly high number of people. So there's an overhang of the number of people you've had, and there's a challenge of a slower environment. The output of that is what you are seeing. I would not attribute what you're seeing over the last year to what's happening with generative AI. I see it as a huge opportunity to enhance productivity. And I think it's the responsibility of companies and the industry to educate employees both in terms of looking at this as an opportunity to be more productive and not as a threat, and the responsibility of companies where jobs truly become disrupted to help enhance and upskill people, like it's happened with many, many other opportunities before. So we'll have to work with people to upskill people, but I think there's tremendous opportunities
What's
for
your
productivity.
advice to those watching? If you're somewhere in the middle of the career path, right? You're not just starting out, or maybe even if you're up in the higher echelons of corporate India, what would you be telling people
I would
to
say
do?
2 things. I would say focus disruptively on skilling and reskilling. Focus on skilling and reskilling. Constantly upgrade yourself. 2 is adopt it, embrace it, help you be more productive. I was having a long chat with somebody this morning and they were saying, look at this as an enhancer and an enabler and don't think about the autonomy of what AI will drive. Not yet, at least.